There's like, and we'll talk about it pretty extensively here in a little bit, but there's a lot of like hand-wringing about the Impact ratings, like that they like stagnated around like a 0.8-ish and they didn't grow. But it's really interesting to see, in contrast, Spike are apparently delighted. Like it's really weird to see wrestling media like, it's not growing, what's going wrong? And Spike is like, we're really happy with this. We're kind of we're growing it on a decent trajectory.
I mean, it seems like a generally positive sort of environment for TNA right now.
It should.
Well, yes.
It should.
Yeah.
Impact on Thursday, April 20th, which is the second Thursday night, drew a 0.9
I love
rating.
setting them up like that, don't you?
Teases. So that's the second week on Thursdays. They drew a 0.9 rating.
Less people watched because they were all busy smoking that ganja.
Oh, what?
420.
Oh,
April
right.
20th.
I was like, is there something about 11 p.m. that I don't know about?
No, they were all busy smoking up with babes, so they couldn't watch the TNA Impact.
Yeah, the Ultimate Fighter did a 1.9, so they did lose over half of the Ultimate Fighter's audience, which is not great, but listen.
I mean, yeah, that's a show that you blaze up to, am I right?
There were actually people in TNA relieved to hear the rating dropped.
I thought you were going to say something else completely then.
What?
There are actually people in TNA blazing up.
There were actually people in TNA relieved to hear the rating dropped in week 2 on Thursday night. The feeling is TNA cannot succeed in the long run with the current booking team, and strong ratings only delay that inevitable realization.
Wow, that is an insane... Wow. Our good ratings only prove that our bad booking team can hang in there?
Yeah, the fact that our show is worth watching means that no one will realize how badly booked it is.
That's... Oh, it works for WWE.
That's your... Listen, you're not wrong. Get their asses. When the rating sank well below 1.0 a couple months back, Dixie Carter was said to be close to making some creative team changes, but when the ratings rebounded, changes were put on hold. The booking team is obvious in their ineptitude, says one wrestler. They are genuinely shocked when bad reviews come in for their work. They're too close to really see how bad they are.
Wow, I wonder who's saying this.
I don't think this is a perfectly booked wrestling company right now.
No.
But it's pretty good.
I haven't wanted to bludgeon my head recently while watching.
I actually, like, especially the last couple months have been, like, better than they were even, like, in December, January. And there's, like, it's not just wrestling leaks. Like, there's whole editorials about how bad the creative is right now. And I'm like, what show are you guys watching? Like, what is going on?
Especially, like, comparably to the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's, as I said, it's not perfect. It's not like the best wrestling product you'll ever see in your life. But the pay-per-views are pretty good, and the TV is, like, relatively exciting at the moment. So, like, what's wrong with you people? Why are you creating the fucking runway for Vince Russo?
Because it's not sports entertaining enough.
Like, Dave goes off in The Observer a bunch about how TNA is sitting in the middle of it being a product for hardcore audiences and a product for sports entertainment people, which he's probably not wrong about.
I was gonna say, that's not incorrect to say that this is a show that is trying to serve two different audiences.
And, like, ultimately not serving either of them and not having your own identity, which I don't think he's entirely wrong about, but I also wouldn't really say it's currently a problem.
No, I'd say right now, as a show that is getting exposed to the most amount of people for the first time, that presenting it with two distinct sort of like ideas isn't an inherently negative idea, because you can sort of gauge how the audience responds to both types of product and then see how you want to develop it moving forward. Because, like, I think you need to have an element of familiarity with, like, the main thing, but also have your own distinct features that make you feel wholly unique. So this idea of serving both audiences isn't inherently negative. It's at this time, but there will be a point where you'll have to pick a lane.
And I also don't think, like, it's especially bad when you do bad versions of sports entertainment, like, say, brochachos, for example. But, like, the sports entertainment stuff on this show, these shows, is like the Alex Shelley paparazzi cam stuff, which is really good.
I would argue that that's not even like WWE style sports entertainment.
Yeah, it is your own kind of brand, your own like different thing you're doing, your own different approach to that kind of sports entertainment product.
Even if you are sort of taking an element of it, you are still making it wholly unique. And maybe that comes from like having less budget and having to be creative and interesting in how you present these sort of things. Because like WWE would never do like a handheld camera commentating from the guy filming it sort of perspective thing, right? Like that would just be shot with real cameras as they barge into someone's house and a lighting crew, and you know, like there is a level of like that boots on the ground style of creativity there.
Yeah, it's the classic when WWE did that Randy Orton home invasion there, when someone was thrown through a window, there was for no reason whatsoever a camera on the other side of the window.
Yeah. So it's like they're doing similar things, but in a more interesting way. Probably not because that's like a conscious choice, but because they're dealing with the things that they have to work with. Which I think in most sort of art that breeds better art. Like when you have to go the extra mile to make something look good because you don't just have everything at the snap of your fingertips.
Yeah, traditionally limitations have bred creativity as opposed to actually handcuff people. You have to find new and unique and frankly cheaper ways of doing things as opposed to having endless resources to do whatever you want and then everything that looks like hyper polished and boring.
Yeah. Because I think that's the problem with like WWE now is like they may have good ideas for things, but like everything is so fake and inauthentic that it like comes across so badly. It's like, well, it's like the Rock thing, right? Where he like beat up Cody like backstage and then like he released that footage with the 17 fucking cinematographers shooting it and the 3 sound crews and all the lighting and like the PAs on the side, and you're like, well, there's a reason none of this stuff feels real or genuine.
You can see the sheen at all times with WWE. Like you can see that world-class production sheen, and it does just make it feel fake.
But that's the whole show in general.
The thing that really baffles me about everyone going off about the booking at this point is like 1 year ago, this company was literally on the verge of going under. Like they were in the death of the FSN era. They weren't doing TV numbers. They were paying to be on television. Their pay-per-view numbers weren't great. Like they were literally on the verge of it all being over in the summer of 2005. And as we reached the summer of 2006, it couldn't be more the opposite. Like they're on Spike TV. They have national television. The pay-per-view numbers aren't through the roof, which is maybe the biggest disappointment. But no one seems to care about the pay-per-view numbers. It's all about the TV ratings.
But that's the thing. We never hear anything about pay-per-view numbers. Like, is it not salacious enough?
Because it's usually they're doing around like 30 to 40K, which is what they did toward the start of the FSN run, not the end of it. But the first few pay-per-views did around that. But there's also excitement around the first few pay-per-views because they're the first few pay-per-views. So, you know, they have a natural bump. So, like, they're not, like, interestingly enough to cover because it is like, oh, it did 35K this month. It did 40K this month. Like, the broadest thing you should know is that they're not up proportionate to the way viewers are up. So they're not converting viewers into pay-per-view customers as much as you would hope with the larger television audience. But, like, they're still up from FSN, you know?
Yeah. It's clear that, like, TV has always been, like, the bastion of wrestling discussion, more so. Because I guess they could go back to, like, the Monday Night War stuff, sort of putting that in the forefront of people's minds.
Yeah, but, like, this company was on the deathbed a year ago. And a year later, it's doing really well. And for some reason, there is now this endless hand-wringing about, like, the state of the company, the state of the booking, and what can they do to move forward, and what can they do to grow. And, like, for all, like, AEW's legitimate flaws, which there are a few, you get the same thing with AEW. It's like, what should they change philosophically about who they are to start growing AEW? It's like, nothing. They should be who they are.
Yeah, they should stick to their core and be authentically them.
Instead of chasing some imaginary dragon here to try and get some, like a 0.1 bump in the rating for a week. Because, like, you're talking about the difference between a 1.0 and a 0.8. Like, that's the thing we're like, really focusing in on here.
Well, it's that famous GIF, right?
The 1 point, yes, yeah.
The 1.1, the 1.1, the like all the crazy shit that they would chase after every week.
And yeah, like you were obsessing over like what is a relatively small difference in a TV rating that the network are apparently pretty pleased with, which is all that matters. But like it's really weird because, as I said, it's not just, we'll have a couple more quotes from wrestlers before we get to the end of the news, but it's not just the wrestlers. There is like long paragraphs in the Observer about this. There's a full editorial in the PW Torch about this. Like there is a lot of like TNA needs a creative change right now, and I don't get it. I don't understand it.
And we know, because we've been through creative runs in this company where we have been vehemently calling out for a creative change, and this just doesn't feel like one of those times where it feels like that, you know?
It feels pretty good. This is like, if I were running this company, I'd be like, pretty good trajectory right now, let's keep the ship steady. That's where I'd be.
Yeah, like things, like maybe they were expecting a bigger sort of blow up, like unfoundedly so. Like maybe they just expected overnight to be like a firm number 2.
But like, you're airing at 11 p.m. on a Saturday, and you're getting 800,000 people watching. You should be fucking delighted. You should be like, hell yeah, look how good we're doing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an odd one of like it could just be hubris.
Yeah, or it could just be like I have no doubt Russo's in Dixie's ear at this point. I have no doubt about it.
I could be doing more. Yeah. I could be doing better.
These guys don't know what they're talking about. This guy, I could actually fix this. We could take it to the next level. They don't know how to do TV. I know how to do TV. I did it in the 90s when everyone watched TV. I'm sure he's in her ear at that point with that spiel.
Garrett, he doesn't want to be part of wrestling anymore.
No, he's done. He hates it and he's retired forever.
Yeah.
But the idea that like the road is being laid by the media for that to happen is really disappointing to me.
I don't get it. I would love to like go back in time and be like, what angle are you coming at this from?
Yeah, what do you want this to be now?
Yeah, why do you agree with this sentiment?
Because these shows are pretty good.
They're better. They're a lot better than they have been. Like, I don't know, this is up there with any of the other months we've ever watched of TV.
That's actually, like, fun and energetic and has a pretty good pay-per-view.
And an identity.
I really don't. I was reading these and I was just kind of baffled. I was like, oh, you did this. You know, it wasn't just like Dixie being crazy and wanting big ratings. It's like there was, as I said, it's all over the wrestling media this month with a bunch of hand-wringing about the state of TNA. And it's like, you did this. It was you that helped bring back Russo. Because if you were like, this is going great, Dixie would be like, look how great this is going. But like Dixie then turns to Dave and turns to Wade and turns to the wrestling media, and all of a sudden they're affirming all of the things Russo is saying in her ear. That's how Russo gets back in. So fuck you. Fuck you, Dave Meltzer. Fuck you, wrestling media.
Yes,
fuck you,
finally.
Jason Powell, and your stupid editorials. Get the fuck out of here. It's your fault Vince Russo came back. And when you turn around at the end of the year being like, why did they bring back Russo? It was your fault. Fuck you.
Shout outs 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff, our favorite podcast.
They don't at all have hacks on their show.
For getting into the anti-Dave Meltzer crowd now.
It's an easy grift.
The thing is with like Dave, like I think he's just like inherently a pessimist about other pro wrestling companies that don't have the WWE machine, because like no matter what AEW does, he always comes in with like the same sort of like, they're dying in some manner.
Because it is the thing, it's like comparative scale between WWE and AEW and WWE and TNA here, night and day. Like WWE is a 10 times bigger company that is doing much bigger international business. They're doing much bigger domestic business. They're a huge entertainment juggernaut. And TNA here are a modest wrestling company, and AEW are a size bigger than modest, but still nowhere near where WWE is. Well, you know,
and the difference between the two obviously is one is owned by a single man who can fund it for the rest of his life and doesn't really have to worry about anything. As long as he wants to keep doing it, he can keep doing it.
Which was true of TNA as well, which is like, as long as Bob Carter's happy, we're happy.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Bob Carter isn't booking, running it, doing every minute detail of the company, you know what I mean? It's like...
Maybe he should have.
Maybe he would have. I mean, who's going to complain about the booking then?
Yeah, he's paying the checks. No one's gonna. Well, actually, no. Based on
AEW,
they will. People will still vote. Yeah, people still
go to Dave, and then they'll tweet about Dave being wrong.
Yeah,
or they'll live journal about it, I guess.
What is TNA President Dixie Carter's reaction to the booking? It says, one wrestler, she seems really smart. She also seems really insulated from any other points of view. I know she used to welcome opinions from wrestlers, but now it seems she's decided to blindly side with Jarrett and see where it takes the company. She won't listen to anyone else anymore.
You know what? Obviously, hindsight 2020, we know that that's wrong, right? But put yourself in the position of a Dixie Carter at this point.
Yeah.
Who was the person who has wined and dined you the entire time?
Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, and it's like, can you blame her for being like, well, this guy seems that he knows what he's talking about?
It's going okay at the moment, so no.
And it's like, should she learn that, like, later on, like, over years? Sure. But, like, I don't know, someone's still very new to it, like, I can't really put much blame on Dixie yet. There will be a time when we can blame Dixie for a lot of things. But, like, as for right now, like, she's still in the learning stage.
And again, to go back, right this moment, should she be having these realizations? No! She shouldn't! It's fine!
Because it's doing well, despite everyone else saying otherwise.